So talking about accountability, right? Last week we heard that Treepz was pivoting. Treepz is this Nigerian startup that started as a bus hailing company. So I've always found the concept of bus hailing as very, 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 very interesting. I've always found the concept, and it looks like some companies have found a way to make it work short last. But Treepz looks to be pivoting away from that model, and you were being dragged last week. So give us the lowdown on that.
Okay, so I think we'll start from the pivoting aspect. So, like you said, they are moving from bus hailing to a car sharing model. So, car sharing is like car rentals basically. But imagine you have a car, and I have a website or an app or something, and you list your car on my website, and Emmanuel is coming into Lagos for 7 days, and he just comes here, he sees your car, and he hires it and uses it. So for Treepz, I spoke with Onyeka, the CEO, and he said, Onyeka Kuma, and he said they've been testing something like this for more than 18 months with their B2B partners. So they provide buses. So a lot of companies want to transport their employees. So they've been testing it with these guys, and they've seen that it's generated a lot more revenue than actual bus hailing for them. So according to him, the catch was that these guys didn't have to rent. They didn't have to buy the buses. They could just rent. So it generated more money. So having seen it working for the B2B customers, they decided to try it out for the B2C customers. So what we saw last week was the launch of the B2C aspect of that business. So now you can start with your questions.
Okay. Nifemi, your questions.
Car sharing. Car sharing.
What the hell was cashier? But go on, please. Sorry.
So I don't know what's wrong with my voice. Car sharing, right? Reminds me of a startup that we found out that shut down. Each, right? Because Onome, you remember? That was the model, car sharing, and
not necessarily. So each was more carpooling than car sharing. Yeah.
So
I think you should explain.
That's see what I was talking about in the
how
article.
different
Car sharing, car rental.
So the thing is, car rental is like the umbrella term for where car sharing falls under. So if you check your dictionary, you see car sharing like what your parents did, or hopefully they did when you were kids, where they would drive. Let's say we have 5 families here, and we have one child each. One person will drive all the kids to school. Like you just share one car instead of everybody going. That's what you probably see as a dictionary definition. But the business guys will define it as: I have a car, and I have a car, and my office is just down the road. So I don't drive it always, and it's lying there. So I list it on a platform, or I put it on. I list it on a platform, and whenever someone needs a car, they hire a car. It could be it's usually hourly. So unlike rentals where I can get into Lagos and rent a car for maybe a week, this is usually hourly. So if you check the Treepz app, for example, you're going to see per day, like the prices are put there per day. So you go on the app, you choose a car, maybe a Toyota Camry, and then you drive it away. So carpooling now is we are all working in Ikeja, and we live at Surulere. So all of us will go with one person's car. So that's like the difference.
No, okay. Now it's clear. I think what comes to my mind is the security concerns. Okay. Or before that, the protection on my assets if I'm listing my car on the platform. So we do not, our trust level in Africa, especially to tech solutions, is very low, very, very low. And this is kind of skepticism that will arise whenever we think of solutions like this. Who protects the asset?
Okay.
Is it insured?
So typically, that's what happens. Like you insure that vehicle, like the service provider insures the vehicle. So if anything happens, it's on them. Like maybe the car is damaged, it's stolen or something like that. It's usually on them. But interestingly, I saw I think I can't remember the name of the company, but it's in the same business, but in South Africa, and they shut down briefly. But when I checked the website, there's a message there saying we're shutting down because we've had issues with insurance, and it had me thinking, if these guys have these issues, I mean, yes, there aren't a lot of car rental or car sharing guys on the continent, but could it be a major problem that anybody would face? Well, yeah, it's not clear. So when I was trying to check, the car sharing industry is still growing. It's not like something I think carpooling is more popular for Africans than car sharing.
I think I would love to see how successful it can get, right? But I feel whenever a business is high risk, it should be high returns. How much are they planning to make from this business?
I mean, nobody knows how much they will make.
How much for maybe per hour?
Per hour, 30,000 naira.
Per hour?
Sorry, not per hour. Per day, 30,000 naira per day.
Okay, so I'm imagining, let's say I want to do Uber. I rent a car from Treepz. I use it to do Uber throughout the day. Will I be able to make 30,000 naira? I'm just thinking out here. Side also thoughts. Maybe if I can be doing Uber on Saturday.
Well,
you know.
you can't register it.
You
can't register another person's car on Uber.
Yes.
Angle.
And you can't get the same car every time you go to the platform for car sharing. So.
Okay, so just normal taxi.
Oh God, this guy is criminal minded.
I mean, nobody's restricting what you can do with the car.
But that's the thing, right?
No, by the time I go and use it to do Uber, the wear on the vehicle is different from
Exactly.
someone who just say, okay, I
need
live
this to navigate around or for mobility.
So those are the challenges.
Those are
So
the concerns.
what I mean, in a case like this, like you mentioned, I don't think it's a venture level business. I don't think it is, because investors know why they invest in fintech. Fintech can give you mad returns. Like, look at the numbers that Team Apt or MoneyPoint declares every few months is insane.
easy to them.
No, like even for, okay, let's leave them. Look at the smaller ones who are telling you that they're processing about $1 million monthly. Right, it's still not like Team Apt level, but it shows you that there's some potential here. But for car sharing, a lot of the things I'm looking at is you need, like what Treepz is trying to do is that they're building the tech platform. So if I'm getting into South Africa, a car rental platform can just upload cars to Treepz in South Africa, and people can rent out the cars. But I'm looking at it, you make 30,000 naira on all of this. But for you to actually have a serious business, you have to insure these vehicles. If you insure these vehicles, yes, we have these like
pay as you use
insurance. But even if you use that and it's significantly cheaper, you'll be using a significant part of your money to do that. Who is taking care of fuel in the vehicle, right? For the entire time, am I taking care of it? If I'm taking care of fuel in the vehicle, then yes, it's fine.
It's the person that comes to rent the car.
You want to drive it.
So what happens in a case where I total the car? Who bears? So like, especially the insurance, it's good.
Insurance is like,
it could make or break the business. Actually,
yes, that's what protects you from anything the person that's using your assets is going to use it to do. That's what protects you.
And nothing I'm looking at is the market itself. How big is this market? Personally, I do not think the market is too big, because for you to rent a car, you have to be at a certain income level. That's the reality. I will not rent a car for 30K, except I have business that absolutely needs.
Oh, that's true. If I want to do normal taxi, I don't need to spend 30K.
I don't need to do,
Except you want to drive yourself.
Like, even if you want to
like
drive.
If I want to drive myself, I'll spend 30K.
Where do you want to see the car you want to drive?
That's it.
When we reach that bridge, we'll cross it.
But if I use public transport, I probably will spend maybe, let's say 7K for all the trips I have to do. So there's a certain income class you have to be in for you to use a car sharing model. and we are seeing Nigeria's middle class shrink every day.
Is there middle class? Okay.
Okay, well,
leave that talk.
It's a different debate, but we are seeing it shrink. Other African countries are suffering. We just talked about Kenya, which is one of their markets. Kenya is trying very hard to raise government revenues. I don't want to believe that businesses are doing any better than the government, because sometimes, a lot of the time, you're actually a reflection of the macro environment. Same thing with Uganda. Uganda is not one of the richest African countries. That's another market they play in. Ghana, the president was begging for money just a few months ago. Sorry, Ghanaians. But you like every market that they operate in, everybody's collecting hand, as you say in Nigeria. So what guarantees do you have that you will not collect hand? And it's not just Hitch. A lot of guys have entered this market and they've shut down in the last few years. There's Hubride. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people spring up these days, but you can't find websites for those guys. So I'm now wondering whether they are not more like taxi companies that are using the internet. They call themselves ride hailing, but I call them taxi companies, just leveraging the internet. So how sustainable is this? Shortlast mentioned that they had issues when they got into the market with the Arborio guys, and then they carved out the niche. Yeah. But Treepz, I mean, of course, you will not have that problem, but man,
I just wish them the best. Because I don't have an issue with them pivoting, right? Even if they have to pivot 5 times, they as long as they want to get something right, I think they should continue. I hope this doesn't even ruin them. I hope they get out of this alive.
Yeah, I'm actually rooting.
But then my counter to that is that importing whatever works in the West.
You guys should hold a mic, sorry.
Never really works in.
Yeah, I mean,
Africa.
yes,
exactly.
There's a larger car.
Of course, before they say they want to go with a model.
You can tell us what you just said now.
Oh.
So
okay, so I said that they can study the car rental markets in other countries, like in the US, in Europe, all of those places. It's not a new thing. Car rental is not a new thing. It has been around for years. You get a lot of these car rental places. They get maybe you rent a car here in Lagos. You can get the car in Abuja. You can submit the car in Abuja. You rent a car in Abuja. You submit it in Lagos. It's just a matter of, okay, will this model work? How can we tweak it? That sort of thing. I know Nifemi said that yes, importing things from outside Nigeria might not always work, but
and I think too, and I also think that for them to say this is what we are pivoting to, they would have done their own work, check the global, probably the global evaluation of this particular market and see how much it's worth globally before they say they want to pivot to it. But I don't think that saying that it works in the West is going to work in Africa, because there are a lot of things going on.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's not that you are copying and pasting like some governments do. You are adapting it. So Nigerians know how to adapt things. So think of Paystack. When you think Paystack, you see Paystack as a Stripe of Africa. It might not exactly be like Stripe, but they've adapted it to the Nigeria. Nigerians know how to do that. Everything, even Christianity, we adapt it to our market. So I think I get what she's trying to say. But to add to that, I'm saying maybe we should not think about it from the angle of startup, in the sense of venture-backed startups in the West. We should think of it as a solid business that is making money.
And that's the problem, yeah?
They don't have to be scaling.
That's the problem.
You just need to be profitable.
You've already gotten venture capital.
Exactly.
You don't really concern us again.
Which investor do you want to do? You want to turn into a traditional business?
So
like no returns for you to further notice. Like give me 10 years, let me build this business before you get your returns.
So even if you're making money, right, you can have a solid business that is giving you maybe it's giving you like So one of the things Onyeka mentioned is that Treepz is self-sustaining in Nigeria and I think one other market, and that's what they are gunning for, right? But I'm not interested in self-sustaining as a VC. I'm interested in making mad returns.
You have
So-
to scale.
People should not worry
And
about
not
the VC. They will be fine.
After-
Are you-
They will be fine.
Are you Onyeka?
No. See, the thing is, if they're able to build a very, very massive physical infrastructure, they can actually scale this eventually. But I get what you guys are saying. Who's going to give them the time to actually build
All
this?
the money.
This is
into a
already 5
No,
years.
They can do traditional
they do
funding.
if they do this and it's self-sustaining and it's profitable,
They
they
can
be
raise debt.
expanding.
And before it becomes self-sustaining, I mean,
Guari. They're fine. They're fine. Don't worry. They're fine. But yeah, let's move on. We've dwelled so much on this topic. But guys, let us know what you think about the pivot that Treepz is making. I don't see it as a negative thing, as I've been saying on social media. But that will require you thinking at it from not just the perspective, my God, from the perspective of startups, but also the perspective of running a business. And yeah, they've raised money, so God will help everybody.